Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. Rudo, Jesse coming to you live. Avs are actually off for a day where we actually do a podcast. I guess you do at the rink on Avs off days pretty regularly, Jesse. But for me, it's been a lot of game day podcasts of late. So
yeah. And hey, we made the joke last night, but it actually sounds like some of the Avs, I don't know if any of the Avs players, but I think like the altitude crew and stuff, they're at Disneyland today.
There you go. And sometimes we're bang on.
I hope there's at least like 3 players there just because.
You think like, are there players that would actually want to go?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, I think I do. Disneyland, like that's more of just like we went to Disneyland. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't think that I don't think these dudes are like lining up for the opening gate and, you know, staying through the fireworks or anything, but yeah, I'd be willing to bet you can get a couple of them, go on a couple rides and go eat some food and just kind of chill.
I mean, I was lucky enough to go both to Disney World and Disneyland multiple times as a kid. And as a kid, it was great. As an adult, I have virtually no interest.
Disney World, because we were the same growing up. Like we went, and my sisters did competitive cheer.
Sure.
And that's where all of that shit is. I will say this: we've been a few times in the last, whatever, how many years we've been older. Disney World, there's a lot of fun shit there for an adult. Beyond the theme park, the place, like they have more land than Manhattan. So like there's a lot of stuff you can find.
Just space, yeah.
Right, yeah. Disneyland, I'm definitely with you. While it's still, again, I think it's fun that if you're out there, sure, just say you went to Disneyland, but yeah, Disney World is definitely the more adult friendly one for sure.
Fair enough. There's like Disney World is weird, right? Because it's actually like 8 different amusement parks or whatever.
Yeah, I would say it's a bunch of different parks and like 25 resort hotels at this point. It's fucking crazy. They have like a downtown area, all this stuff. It's Disney World really is like its own little city, and so you can find enough shit there to do.
Yeah, Disneyland is a bit on its own. They're not too far away as Legoland, I guess, but they're not like connected.
Right. Yeah. Like I don't know. Again, to your point of like, do the players want to go? Yeah. I don't know. It just because here's the other thing. Like, you know this, if you guys, if you went to Disney, like Disney, like it's not like a relaxing day. You know what I mean?
It's exhausting. It is exhausting to go to Disney.
Right. It's like it's a full day, and like if you're up for that and that's what you're looking for, like yeah, it can be fun, but yeah, I don't know. I do like if you're looking for like rides and shit, I agree with that comment that was just up. I think Universal. If you're looking for thrill rides and stuff, yeah, Universal's pretty dope.
Pretty dope. Yeah, I guess I'm just curious if your average hockey player is like into thrill rides or not.
Now, like I know there's that great story from when Brent Burns took his family to Disney World a few summers ago. I mean, this was several summers ago. And kids came up to him like at the Magic Kingdom because they thought he was part of the pirate. Like they thought he was a character because he was wearing like a Mickey Mouse pirate hat, and he's got the hair and the beard and the teeth. And there was a couple people who like came up and asked him for pictures because they thought he was just like part of Disney World as a Pirates of the Caribbean pirate.
Sure.
And it's like, no, this is all world defenseman Brent Burns actually. And it's just funny.
I'm assuming he'd be more recognized now, but years ago, Landy did just like walk down the street in Denver and like nobody knew who he was.
Nobody, dude. Yeah, you'd hope that now after the cup and all of that he would get a little bit more.
Well, I have it on good authority that AJ Hafley just got back from Disneyland himself. So
how was Disney this morning?
It's wonderful.
Anyway, very quickly, I did want to address this since it's something that Twitter is talking about. I would take out my mortgage again and bet it all that Cale Makar will be ready for game 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to bet my mortgage on it just purely out of principle, but I'm equally as confident.
Just throw it out there.
That's where the person taking that bet like kneecaps him in the street or something.
yeah.
There was some kerfuffle over the verbiage being used with Cale Makar being out indefinitely. That just means that there's no official timeline for Cale Makar.
Look, we are 10 days. 10 days from game 1 of the playoffs. All season last year, Jared Bednar was phenomenal. He was great, super chatty, would go on and on about whatever topic you wanted. Anything you asked him, he would expand, even if you were just looking for a quick little answer. We got to the first practice of the playoffs, and nothing about the question asking changed. And Jared went down to 2 to 5 word answers for like most things. As the playoffs went on, we got a couple off days. He loosened up a little bit, but that was the first time I really like noticed like, oh, we joke about Angry Nate. Like, this is playoff Jared. Jared's like, he's gearing up. Like, he's ready for the playoffs. You are not going to get any information out of him. We're not going to give us anything beyond, don't know. And that little smirk that he likes to give. So just start leveling your expectations for that. Any and all injuries, maintenance days, lineups, starting goaltenders, any of that, it's all about to go away for the Avs. I had a couple of people be like, well, did anyone think to ask about playoffs in particular? It's like, sure, I'll ask. I'll ask 10 different ways if you'd like. It's going to be met with the same answer every single time. So as we get closer to the playoffs and any of these question marks come up, just understand we'll ask out. We always ask every time. We have a really good group in the media room this year. We don't leave stones unturned. Jared's just not going to give much on any of this stuff. You got to read between the lines with what he says. And to your point, if there was a concern about Cale long-term, he would say it's going to be a few months. It's going to be whatever. Him saying no timeline, whatever, they're making sure he's good to go.
I do always really laugh when somebody asks him, who's going to start tonight? And he goes, one of them.
Yeah.
And you're like,
don't know. You'll have to wait and see. That's his
Yeah.
other one. You'll have to wait and see. He started, because Peter Baugh is definitely the most forward about, like, oh, is this guy injured? Well, he's dealing with something. What's he dealing with? Like, Peter really will pull at the thread. So it's gotten to the point where anytime someone else asks about injuries, he'll be like, wow, that's a great question. I can't believe Peter didn't think of it. This is what's going on. Or he'll give the same nothing answer. But he like takes little jabs at Peter Baugh now because he just asks so regularly about injuries and lineups and that stuff. But yeah, like you said, the one of them, don't know yet.
It was always my favorite. Like, oh, who's going to start tonight? And he'd be like, well, one of them's going to.
One of them, yeah.
You're like, well.
I mean,
it's not Eric Johnson. Like, okay, great.
He tells the other one too is yeah, you'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And then don't know. I don't know. It's like
I haven't decided yet.
Yeah. Haven't decided yet. Is the other one? Yeah.
What was it the other day where he said, "Yeah, a couple guys are going to be out tonight."
Yeah.
And then wouldn't elaborate on who. Yeah.
Wouldn't elaborate on it all. The Ben Myers call up thing. He was like, we thought we were going to potentially have an emergency call up, but we ended up not needing it. And someone said, was it injury? And he goes, no, I'm not going to tell you. And then someone else goes, does it have to do with having a baby? Because Andrew Cogliano's wife is due like any moment. And he goes, I don't know. And one more person guessed. He goes, you guys can keep guessing. I'm not going to tell you even if you get it right. And it's just like, okay. And so, yeah, that comment that came across, like, we know, we ask, we are just as curious as the rest of you guys. It's just those are the answers we get.
Since we're in this conversation, even if Bednar might not be giving us the info, a handful of dudes traveling with the Avalanche on this road trip Where are y'all's expectations at? Do you think they're going to get in a game or two for Josh Manson before the playoffs, for Arturi Lehkonen before the playoffs? Where are some of these guys at?
I mean, I think Frankie plays, right?
Mhm.
I would assume so.
I would
Like,
say
I'm fully
are
expecting
you saying Sunday?
Francouz is in net. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's a fair guess.
I fully expect
Frankie-
he's going to be the guy in net.
Frankie, I'd be willing to bet that you get 2 to 3 games out of Lehkonen before the end of the season. I'll say anywhere from 1 to 3.
So plays one way or another.
Right. Manson, I'm leaning towards if he's close enough to go for game 1, just wait till game 1. Landy, I don't know.
Good call. They just want to go to Disneyland. True.
I think getting that the last road game in Nashville, if there's still something to play for, is fine. Otherwise, Winnipeg and then sit some dudes for game 82.
Are you if there's nothing left to play for in that game 82, maybe you just send your guys coming back from injury. Hey,
Get them a
Lecky,
game.
Manson, yeah, Gabe, go play 4 minutes. Just like all of you guys go get in a game. We're gonna keep all these guys home.
Well, and to be honest, with the news out of Minnesota today,
Yeah, with Eriksson out week to week.
Kaprizov back next week, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but now there goes their best center, their only impact center.
Yeah.
I would probably be using if it's Minnesota or Seattle in round 1, I would be using round 1 to like
juice up a little bit.
Figure it out a little.
I want Seattle for multiple reasons.
The only reason I don't want Seattle is because I don't want any more of these 8 p.m. starts.
That's true, but the Avs might get stuck with those anyway in the playoffs.
I was hoping with like a central time zone team, but that would not happen.
Sneak into that 5 o'clock spot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nashville was 6, right? We got a few 6 o'clocks.
Yeah,
or I think there were 7 in Nashville, so that'd be 6.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that'd be fine. Could do that.
Yeah,
we can hope.
That'd be great. No issues with that. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
This 8 p.m. stuff, man, is like ruining my life.
No one. We have another one tomorrow.
Well, so
yeah,
we're in this room already here. The NHL schedule. I know we complain about it a lot. I know it's easy to beat up on. 14 games last night. 16 games tomorrow.
For the first time ever.
0 tonight.
So it's Good Friday. And apparently this is a thing that they've never played on Good Friday. I don't know. That was the whole thing. The NHL sent out a thing saying, in observance of Good Friday, we will not be having games on this day. Yeah. I was like, how can you tell me it's a Good Friday when there's no fucking hockey on?
Dude. Well,
Sounds like a bad Friday.
The 16 games tomorrow for the first time. For the first time ever. Like, that's dope. But I just having 14-0-16 is just so weird. And then
they're not even staggered well. You have
that's where I was going next.
3 8 p.m.s and 3 at like 10 and 10:30 Eastern, and you're like,
well,
why?
So
why?
It's even worse because you have like 7 that start at 7 p.m.
Yeah. You have one afternoon game.
You get one afternoon game, one like late afternoon game, and then a bunch of 7 o'clock starts, one 7:30 start, a bunch of 8s, and then the Avs are the 1 8:30.
Yeah, they have the one staggered at the very, very end, and there's not even a reason for it.
Yep.
Like, so honestly, the first part of the day, if you know, not with this many games, 12:30, 1, 3:30, 4, 5:30. That's great scheduling. That's great scheduling. I mean, what do you mean? Why is it not?
Because I want it every half hour, like the entire afternoon.
Well,
so you don't have
I said for like a limited schedule, because that's obviously already way too deep into the day. But I'm saying, if you're just looking at those first 5 games, if you only have those 5 games, that's great. You don't have any games that are going to be overlapping. But to your point, You don't just have those 5 games.
No.
You've got 16. And then, so it's those, and then 7 p.m. starts, 7:30, and these are all Eastern time. 2 8s, 2 10s, and a 10:30.
Yeah. The NBA did a masterclass of this earlier this year where they had one Saturday where they had NBA games start at noon and then go all the way until 10 p.m. Eastern with an NBA game starting about every 15 minutes.
Yeah. See,
and
that's,
it was just like it was a masterclass of scheduling where you're just
I don't get how you don't do that.
All you want to do, if you just want to sit and watch NBA basketball all day, that league is like, cool, we'll let you do that. The NHL's like, no, we're giving you like a 2-hour break in there to go do something else. We don't want you to just watch hockey.
Well, but that's not even what my issue is. I just hate that the 5:30 game is Anaheim, Arizona.
Which
right
you
before
knew
the 7
when you
p.m.
scheduled
starts.
it wasn't going to be good. So it's not like you could try and sell that.
And my issue is that at 7 o'clock, I'm going to have 6 games that all go to the first intermission within 3 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That to me is where the issue is.
Yep.
You can't have that many games that start at the exact same time because that means all the breaks are at the exact same time.
Yeah. And as Chad has mentioned, those games don't even start on time.
Yep.
Well,
the national ones don't even start within 15 minutes of their scheduled time.
So the NHL does send out something in the morning with the actual puck drop time listed. So like, I knew that game a couple weeks ago was 8:52 at morning skate. I knew that was an 8:52 puck drop, and they drop the puck at 8:52. But what I find weird about that is why do you publicly list it as 8:30?
Right.
And then in your media advisory, send out 8:52. You know what time the game, you just told me what time the game's going to be.
Yeah.
At bare minimum, listed it because I also understand the 7 minutes where if it's 7 o'clock and not starting until 7.
So at least give me 8:45 then.
Right. That's my thing. Because you have Anthem and all that. Like I get all of that. What you're saying is if you're at the game, be in your seat at 7. I'm fine with that. Be in your seat at 8:30, though we're not starting for almost 25 minutes. That I don't get. Listed it as 8:45.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, we can get off this rant here.
This thing that we gripe about constantly.
Yeah.
It's just there was just too good of an example of it tomorrow for me to not bring it up.
I was so excited for the 16 schedule, and then setting a fantasy lineup is impossible. That is not cool.
Yeah.
And not that it matters. I'm getting rocked, but two, I mean, just looking at it, I also looked at it and was like, come on. And then you're randomly you're like, well, we're not going to have any games on Good Friday, but somehow Easter is not. You're like,
right.
Do it, man.
That's why I was so confused. And you said that to me, like, oh, well, it's Good Friday. I was like, yeah.
Literally, the NHL sent out the thing this morning, and they were like, in observance of Good Friday, we have no game scheduled. See you on Sunday. What?
See you on Easter.
Yeah, exactly. What?
Anyway, I did like it better when I was drinking my Athletic Greens to get ready for an afternoon game instead of to recover from we didn't even leave the bar until 12:30 last night.
I thought it was closer to 12:45.
It might have been, man. It was so late. Anyway, do go get yourself some Athletic Greens, though. It's great for you. They got 75 different vitamins and minerals, a bunch of adaptogens, electrolytes, and other good stuff in there to get you healthy, get your immune system boosted. A bunch of athletes use it as part of their daily workout routines. Tons of good stuff when you go to athleticgreens.com/avalanche today to order. I don't actually use it that much because I'm, not a very healthy person, as many people are aware. So, Jesse, I know you and Hannah are all about it. What's it like being healthy with Athletic Greens every day? Do you feel revitalized?
Well, see, Rudo, as we've all talked about, I'm not the pickiest eater, but Hannah's always on me to get more greens and stuff like that. So what I love about it is one, I really think it tastes fine. I know it's dark green and it scares people off, green beverages. It tastes good. I don't mind the taste. And it's literally my full day of fruits and veggies in one cup. So I'm like, yep, I'm good. I had my Athletic Greens. I don't need the scoop of soggy green beans in the buffet line at pregame meal. I really do. I like it. I feel a little bit of a difference after I've had one. I haven't had one today. I was telling you earlier, Rudo, I got a headache. I'm just like kind of groggy and stuff. I use this reference all the time. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I don't get that like boost from a cup of coffee. Have a lot athletic greens in the morning. I try to make it be one of the first things I do, and I really do feel like it just kind of gets me up, gets me a little bit sharper between the ears. And like I said, my favorite thing about it is it's one glass, and I get all my fruits and veggies that I need for a day at once, and I can go back to eating what I want.
There you go. Easy to be healthy with one glass.
Easy to be healthy.
Jump on it. Take control of your health today. Go to athleticgreens.com/avalanche to order yours today. And when you do, they'll throw in a year's supply of vitamin D as well. So even more good health all the way around with Athletic Greens. Also, if you're a bit of a couch potato, you feel better about it with Athletic Greens, and then you can go get yourself some Fubo TV so you can actually watch the Avalanche every single day.
I used it last night for the first time, man.
There you go. Easy life.
Yeah, with me at home for the game, I used Fubo for the first time. It was actually great.
Nice.
Quality of it was great. I really liked the little DVR, like the built-in DVR on it was it was very useful because I did not believe my eyes when I saw Ben Myers scored. And so I was like, that's got to be a different guy, right? So I went back and looked and rewatched it, and that built-in DVR function is just one of those things for somebody like me that likes to double-check little things really quickly, although that's kind of an important thing. I really liked that. It was very helpful for me.
For as much as we complain about the schedule, with the DVR, y'all don't even have to stay up for the game. You can watch it the next day if you want to when it comes with Fubo. So just one of the many reasons. You can start watching right now with a free 7-day trial. They have over 140 live channels, including sports, shows, movies, and news. Obviously, the most important being altitude there. You can watch your Avalanche and the Nuggets. Jump on, turn it on. It's good to go. As is going on right and now, college hockey, now it's the final two of the Frozen Four that we're down to. So you can catch all of that action too if you're into the college hockey scene. Go check it out. Watch the Avs on Altitude Sports with Fubo TV. Use the link down in the description of this video to sign up and get 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. All right. Let's get into the actual topic. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to give, because we mentioned how late we were at the bar. I just want to give a quick shout out to Ashley and her husband, Jeff. They hung out at the bar last night. We chatted with them throughout the whole game. Rudo, I know you were sitting with them pretty much the entire time. And then they hung out for the entire post-game show until almost 1 a.m. And, hung out and chatted and stuff after. Awesome people. I know they've been to the bar a couple times, but I just wanted to give them a shout out because that was they were real ones for staying there till 1 a.m. just to take part in all of it. So,
yeah.
Shout out to them. They were great to chat with.
Very cool. On today's show, we're excluding a couple of people from this conversation. You don't get the cop-outs of saying, we're asking who is the best player on the Colorado Avalanche, but you can't say MacKinnon, you can't say Rantanen, you can't say Makar. And for the sake of it, because comparing goalies just isn't really a one-to-one thing, we're not going to do Georgiev either.
Okay.
Who would be the easy answer?
Yeah, right. It feels pretty easy to slot him in if you don't exclude him. So you're talking about the best remaining skater on the Colorado Avalanche behind those people. In my opinion, I think there are 3 guys you can legitimately make cases for, and then maybe a couple more guys down the list that aren't really in that conversation, but maybe could be if things go a certain way. I'll let you guys pick who we go to first here.
AJ, do you want to go?
Nope. Because everybody knows where I'm going to go with it, so I want you to start.
Gabe? Then I definitely want to know where you're going to go. Because I don't know where you're going to start.
He's going top human for sure.
Oh, Toews?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, well, we'll go with Val first then, since that's the guy you guys didn't come up with.
Well, I mean, I think there's what 3 to 5 guys that you have this conversation about.
I mean, I think the 3 front runners are Val, Landy, and Toews for sure.
And then I think you can honorable mention a guy like Bo.
Mm-hmm.
How are we confident that Nichushkin is more valuable than Lehkonen?
Yeah, I am.
Today, absolutely.
Yeah.
Long term, we'll see.
Why wouldn't he be?
Definitely not long term. I just mean this year, this season.
Yes,
with how things have gone.
I am near certain. Val's a near point per game player, man.
Isn't he over a point per game?
No,
he may have fallen off in the last couple of days.
It was like 43 and 47 or something like that. I guess
it's 44 and 48 now.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because I know he was like right at it recently.
And are you digging at the like intangible side of this with Lehkonen, where he's a dude that just plays really well alongside MacKinnon and things like that?
No.
Or just generally?
I guess I have a harder time separating the two.
Why?
Well, because it's like a physically larger version of the same player. And especially with Nichushkin, with the speed not ever coming back after the ankle this year, it just hasn't returned that burst that made him that little extra special. Hasn't gotten there, and his even strength production has been almost non-existent for most of the year. It's really been, and the same is true for Lehkonen, for the record. Like, both of those guys have had really big statistical years for them because they've spent all year on power play 1, picking up points here and there next to these monsters that they're playing with. But I guess I have a really hard time.
I mean, Val's only got 15 special power play points.
So yeah, of 44, that's just a decent chunk of them.
I mean, Connor McDavid's over 50% of his production on the power play. We're not discounting that all that much.
That's because he has 150 points.
I know, but my point is, you said of 44, so we're talking percentages here. There's a lot of players with much higher percentage of their points coming on the power play.
Yeah, and those guys are usually like really, really high producing guys that are in the middle of your lineup.
Don't change that.
Like those like middle of your lineup guys, it's just one of those things. Well, like, because you look at JT Compher's got 50 points right now.
Yeah,
he's got and he has 5 power play goals. Val Nichushkin has 10.
Yeah, but I mean, you said that his even strength production has been non-existent, where the majority of his points have come in at even strength by quite a bit. What do you mean? Okay, that's true.
Yes, I understand. Like, this is true for basically all players, but I mean, like, it's a big thing buoying his production is he has a lot of power play points. And
okay, I disagree, I guess.
Okay. And that's where, and I'm trying to separate Nichushkin from Lehkonen, and I guess for me they've been basically equal for the Avs this year. I have a hard time separating which one was more valuable. I feel like they're the same thing.
So I guess let me ask a clarifying question on just the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking most valuable or who we think are the best players? Because I think if you're talking most valuable, well, then it's Gabe, and this really is like it's end of show.
Is it?
I mean, I think there's a conversation about best player, and we'll get to Gabe in a little bit. I want to finish this conversation first. So the thing is, I hear where you're coming from, and I understand, like, mechanically they might be 2 players that fill the same role. But on a per game basis, Val has just been significantly more productive than Lehkonen this year.
Mm-hmm.
Even if Lehkonen actually has more power play points.
I'll say he's got 20 power play points. Yeah.
Yeah.
on that basis, I do think I have to give the nod to Val on that front. Now, when you start evaluating contract value and things like that, maybe it gets a little bit more murky. But
I'm not worried. I don't care about contracts in this case. I'm just talking about which guys have been the most valuable for the Avs this year.
yeah, I think it is Val, because you're right. They do a lot of the same things. Both of them very, very
Yeah.
good on the forecheck. I think Val probably has the edge on the defensive side. Not that Lecky is bad defensively. I think Val is just genuinely one of the best wingers in the league at playing defense. And all of those things are why I have Val as in the race of those three guys for that next best player on the Avs, and Lecky kind of a tier down because they're similar. You have to kind of go with one of them, and I'm going with Val.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel super strongly about it. I just was curious how you separate them.
On a per game basis, because you have to take the injuries into account.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
it's a big advantage for Val.
Well, no. I was actually going to ask a different question. On a per game basis, do you guys think Val has under or overachieved or right at value for his contract per game? Because the injuries make it definitely feel a little bit shittier in year one. But like, if you're getting what you're getting out of Val game by game, assuming the health isn't a problem next year, I think you feel pretty good about that contract, right?
Probably overachieving this year, right?
Yeah. I would say I'd say he walks the line between great value and overachieving a bit.
I'm nervous about the speed, because that was such a big thing for him. That made him, like, it just gave him that little extra push into, oh, he's big, he does all this. Also, if you don't plan for it, that guy will fly by you and embarrass you, and that has not existed in the last several months. It's not there.
He's so interesting because Jared just told us the other day that he's actually had several injuries that he's dealt with that we just didn't know about. So I will be really curious on what you're talking about, AJ, is if they don't go all the way again and he gets a proper off season,
definitely
is Val Nichushkin going to hit camp next year and us all be like, oh, there's that cross crease fucking drop your shoulder and nobody's getting in the way of you. Yeah.
Right. That's what I want to see. That's the only thing, like, long term that makes me even a little bit nervous about Val, because year one, I don't know how you feel anything but thrilled at the decision that you made.
Even without that, right? Like, and I get it. Val started this year unbelievably hot before those injuries flared up again, and picked up a ton of points in that stretch. But especially since mid-February, basically, Val's production has been remarkably consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look, this is where me just being a nervous Nelly is going to hurt, because a lot of it is next to MacKinnon.
See, but I guess so here's why I don't know, why is that a bad thing?
Because right now he's not next to him, and if he opens up in game one, round one, next to MacKinnon, I'm good, man, because I think that's how you maximize him.
Right.
And so that's fine with me. But when he's been moved next to Comfer, not a lot has happened there, and that just is like, hey, like, I just, like, he needs the I actually wrote about this a few games ago, that I put him in a dud because I didn't have anybody to put there because they played really well. But my concern with him is that if he opens up round one, game one, next to, and this was kind of my concern with picking him as the fourth best skater for the Avs, is if he's the best player on a line, that line has not done much this year, and he has kind of fit more into a natural complementary role next to one of Colorado's stars, or both of them, where that's where we've seen him at his absolute best and really flourish. And when they've got the injuries that they do, they don't have the luxury of necessarily putting him in that position. And Like, I don't have an issue with how the lineup is right now because of the personnel that's available to them, where he's next to Comfer and Rodriguez is next to MacKinnon and Rantanen. I get why this is happening, and I don't have a strong objection or anything like that. I'm just saying, when Nichushkin has been the best player, when you look at that and you say, hey, you've got the 8-year contract, you've got this, you've got that, you're next to JT Compher, and unfortunately, like, this revolving door of left wings between Newhook and Morgan and whatever. That line just really hasn't done a whole lot, and even the underlying numbers where Val has been the savior for many years in Colorado now, it hasn't been very good. And Val is at his best when he's next to MacKinnon and next to Rantanen, which, like, that's a good thing. That's what you want. That's what you're paying for. And when they're healthy, this isn't a concern.
Right. Well, I was going to say, because
so, like, even if just Lehkonen comes back, I think you're totally good.
Yeah.
But what I don't want is for that second line to open up in round 1, game 1 of Arturi Lehkonen, JT Compher, and Val Nichushkin. Like, please don't do that.
Because I agree with a lot of what you just said. And I think where it doesn't bother me is that, like, I know that's what they have Val. They don't need him to go out. I mean, they do right now, to your point, because of the injuries, and, like, be the guy on the line. What I think works so well about Val is he kind of plays that Landy role, front of the net, below the goal line, hard on the wall. And that dude just forechecks his ass off and generates so many opportunities for guys like Mikko, like Nate, that when he's, I don't have the charts right in front of me and shit like that to say if this is definitively what he's been doing, but, like, the way that he plays just doesn't have the same effect when you're winning those puck battles and finding JT Compher, with all due respect, JT Compher. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's just different when you're looking up, you win that board battle. It's like, oh, there's one of the best players in the world. There's the best defenseman on earth. And then there's a top 5 winger, like, ever. Perfect.
And you've segued us perfectly into this Gabe Landeskog conversation on the ice. Off the ice, there's no question, right? That dude's the captain. The intangibles are all there. All the things that happen there. There is zero doubt that Gabe Landeskog is more important than everyone else that we haven't already mentioned to this hockey team. Understand that fully. Mm-hmm. On the ice, though, is it Gabe Landeskog? Is he the guy that gives you the flexibility in the top 6 to do all of these things you're talking about with Val? Is he the cornerstone piece, or is maybe, Val starting to approach that level for Colorado?
So AJ alluded to Val kind of being like the underlying number savior over these last number of seasons for the Avs. And so I think it is safe to say that, yes, you can make the argument he's encroaching on that, but I'm gonna quote Jeff Merrick here from Sportsnet. He's a big Gabe Landeskog guy.
Like, and biggest.
He is the biggest Gabe Landeskog guy. But he talked about it in the postseason last year about how he said his favorite thing about why he loves Gabe Landeskog so much, and one of his favorite ways that Jared Bednar uses him, is he said Gabe Landeskog, what his term was, he said Gabe Landeskog is the fixer. Whatever line you think might be a little vulnerable, Jared Bednar will stick Gabe Landeskog there, and that's what he'll roll with, because he knows that he's not going to, burn you. He's not going to make a mistake, whatever. And he referred to in the Stanley Cup final, he would play him with, injured Nazem Kadri. Nazem Kadri isn't 100%. We need him with Gabe Landeskog. That's something that I tried to pay attention to that after he started talking about it. And he's right. Gabe he's just got this. We're like, and I know he does. I know you can find, like, he doesn't make mistakes. He's that kind of player. You know what I mean? Where you can roll him out there with anybody, and Gabe's going to do what Gabe Landeskog does. I really do believe that regardless of who you've got him out there with, Gabe Landeskog kind of has a baseline that he's pretty much always going to get to. And then on top of that, I mean, he's a point per game guy, all that stuff. I really do. I have a hard time not saying Gabe, even when you're talking about on ice results. I just think he does he does a lot of really heavy lifting surrounded by incredibly talented players who get a lot of the spotlight. And I just think that, like I said, there's a lot of heavy lifting that's done behind the scenes.
I fully agree. If we're really having this conversation, it's the behind the scenes stuff that there's no argument that Landy's going to be the most important player here. But
well, and I guess I more even mean like just on a line, you know.
I agree even there.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm not saying even off the ice, but like in the locker room, being able to fit in on any line and playing a style he just makes every line better no matter what.
Right. Mikko, makes the 360 behind the back pass and Nate dunks it home. But you don't mention that Gabe Landeskog won a ridiculous back-checking board battle 15 seconds earlier. I think about the breakaway goal that Nate scored against Nashville. I think it was actually in the 17-18 year, that first game at home, where he makes that like diving stick lift on Fisher going up ice. It's like a back check diving stick lift, and then like from the ground funnels it to Nate for a clean breakaway. And it's just like, who makes that play? Like, that's ridiculous. And then I know we're not the biggest fight guys, but like he does have that edge where he'll stand up for guys and he'll beat the fuck out of you if he so feels it necessary.
Definitely has. I don't know if I'd call it an edge to his game.
Role out of Braden Shen that
year.
Like nobody in that locker room could listen to him until they traded away all the actual guys, because it was like, we saw what happened, man.
It was that, and then the hit on Ryan O'Reilly in game 2. It's like, you guys, you can't stop this dude. How do you stop him?
Coming.
Well, and this is the stuff that they're like desperately missing, right?
Yeah.
Like he's that guy that you love what Lehkonen and Nichushkin bring for you in terms of the hard work and the skating and the forechecking, the two-way play, all of that. Mm-hmm. But Landeskog does all of those things at a higher level and with more physicality, and he brings more skill. Landeskog is just one of those really, really skilled role players that ends up in a top 6 because he does everything for you. I mean, the guy, if you go and you look at his career, I hate that the injuries have done this.
I know.
You're talking about a guy that outside of 2 seasons in his career, 20 goals every year, just set and forget. You're looking at 30 assists every year. Just stop as a baseline as a 20-30 player, and then realize that over the last 4 years has basically been a point per game guy who's scoring at a higher clip than he ever has. And he has become one of your premier two-way guys. And oh, by the way, he's the only guy in this organization that can win a goddamn face-off with any kind of consistency. Because if you look at the last 4 seasons, he's sitting around, he's taken a ton of face-offs, and he's winning them at a 54% rate.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's now moved into an even more important role for you because he does that for you as well. Like the guy is the genuine fact that the Avs are sitting in first place
seriously
right
dude.
now with 100 points on April 7th, and they are on the cusp of winning another division title, and Gabe Landeskog has given them 0 games played, is a thing that cannot be driven home enough. It cannot be reiterated enough how important he is to the team, how important he is to on ice, off ice, everything. He is such a huge part of their makeup, and that they've accomplished this without him is extremely impressive, and it should scare the ever-loving shit out of everybody out west, especially the Edmonton Oilers, because you throw that guy into a lineup with a Lehkonen and a Nichushkin, you're not going to get into that kind of a shootout because those are some two-way guys. Those are some two-way guys that can handle themselves and that can actually shut down a little bit of that offense, that can at least live in that space, and there's enough skill where they can score with you. Like, it's just the guy, he individually takes Colorado to a different level just by being in that lineup.
So, and then you mentioned the goals, and this is one of the smallest side notes about him, but I do just want to mention because it's not nothing. You mentioned the goals set and forget. I remember I think it was 17-18. Whenever he scored, what did he have, like 35 or something one of those years?
18-19, he scored 34.
34. Yep. It was that year where he scored a ton of goals in front of the net. And I remember all of us being like, well, you have to be cautious about that kind of production. And Gabe Landeskog has turned into like Joe Pavelski 2.0, where he is like one of the premier net front presence guys, whether it be deflections, finding loose pucks in front, rebounds, causing havoc. Like, again, it's a small portion of his game. I don't want to overstate it, but he is one of the NHL's premier net front
key
presence
element, though, when you talk about
totally.
You're a team that has Colorado is a shot generation team that doesn't necessarily feast on quality chances all the time. You look at Nathan MacKinnon will just throw any puck he gets on net. He's comfortable with that. Cale Makar likes to shoot that wrist shot from out high where he's trying to get it through traffic. He's trying to pick a spot here. And, Val Nichushkin and Arturi Lehkonen are great. They do what they do, and neither one of them are in the same ballpark.
Right.
As a net, in particular, as a net front presence, both with the physicality, but the ability to tip pucks and just being that physical, like, I'm not moving.
You know who's
You're
probably
not
the closest
getting me out
to
of
Gabe?
here.
Probably the closest to Gabe on that front's JT. That dude doesn't get enough credit for being a pain in the ass to play against in front of their net.
He gets the shit kicked out of him on a regular basis in front of the net.
And he's got that same just blank stare he gives us in the locker room the whole time. And I can't even imagine being a competitor, being in that moment, being so mad at the guy and seeing that look on his face.
Yeah.
I feel like that would drive you, just that alone, just seeing his like, oh, you're not even worth getting excited over.
Well, that's the thing that Logan O'Connor does too, because Logan O'Connor pisses other people off, and then they come at him, and he's just like,
he's the
really
ultimate
bright lights
tryhard
in here, guys. Like,
This conversation is, I think, why we are all so confident in the Avalanche going into the playoffs. I get it. Landy will be back when he's back, but even the talks about Nichushkin getting Lehkonen back, the quick mention of JT Compher casually having a 50-point season this year.
Yeah.
There's some depth to this forward core that I'm not going to say the Avs are going to get fully healthy. Again, we're not sure on Landy, but it's looking like if they can survive this last week of the season, they're going to be just about as healthy as they've been going into these playoffs run. Also, if you were hibernating last night or something, in case you missed it, Mikko Rantanen did something that an Avs player hasn't done in 20 years. And we thought it was pretty cool. So we made a shirt about it. Mikko hitting 50 goals, just the third player in Avalanche history to do that. Joe Sakic did it twice, so technically the fourth time it's ever happened. But you gotta get in on moments like this. They don't come around all that often. So the Mikko 50 shirt, the Moose 50 shirt, I guess I should call it the Moose 50 shirt with the antlers on there. Your chance to jump in and get yourself the 50 shirt today. It's really pretty cool stuff. I'm usually at a loss of what to say when Avs players do stuff like this, because it's just, you're just getting to witness history. Like, it's just Rudo, dope hockey players doing dope stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I cut you off. I don't know why you're apologizing to me. I fully talked over you. It's what we talked about last night. Scoring is going out of control this year, and you're probably going to have 5 guys that do it out of 700 and whatever. 50 is a rare thing. It's we got to see a Norris Trophy winner up close last year. That's super special. And you get a 50 goal scorer. Mikko Rantanen has had a special year. We were in the pregame last night, and I made kind of like a half joke mention of him pushing for the record. And now suddenly we're sitting here, he's 2 shy of the record. It's like, well, hell yeah, get him 3 more. Like, let's do this again. It's fun to watch this kind of stuff because it's easy. The internet now you have so much information to everything. Nothing is a surprise. You know when everything happens. Like, you do have to take a step back and appreciate when you're watching something really fun, really special. 20 years ago, the last time this happened for the Avs.
It's been 20 years. Like, that's a
20
legitimately big thing. Like, yeah, I understand if you have an Austin Matthews or an Alex Ovechkin, like a one of these generational goal scorers, when Steven Stamkos early in his career, you could kind of get numb to it where you're like, yeah, that's what he does,
Mm-hmm.
But even then, you look at how many years did Ovi only score 35?
Yeah.
Where's Austin Matthews this year? He not following up that 60-goal season with another 60-goal season.
Right.
It turns out it's really hard to do.
Well, it's what makes Alex Ovechkin so insane.
And like this is the thing that like you should absolutely just cherish what Mikko has given them, because it's easy to be like, oh, in the future he'll do it again, but will he? Like, if they're even remotely healthy moving forward,
they're just not going to lean on him as hard as they have to this year. Yeah.
Remember that 3-week stretch where he was the only NHL regular in their top 6?
Also the only dude scoring on the entire team.
like there's just a world here where he does not do this again, because it's hard. It's very hard to do.
Yep.
Alex Ovechkin's career is so insane.
Yeah, it's so stupid. He's
because you asked that question and the answer is not very many.
like he. I think like the lowest for his career was like he had like a 34-goal season once, and it was like that was the worst it ever got for him.
He had 32 goals twice. One was in the lockout shortened year, and then one was in 2010, 2011. 32 goals. That's the worst he's ever. If you don't, yeah, 32 goals. That's the lowest he's ever scored.
Look, when you're starting to score a number of goals that looks like a bowling score, that's when you're doing pretty well.
He had 24 in 2020, 2021. That was the COVID shortened year.
We are brought to you by Volo Sports, by the way, where we can and do have a bowling league with a bunch of the DNVR peeps, so you can jump on that. There's tons of other sports as well, including kickball, soccer, volleyball, softball, cornhole, bocce, basketball, pickleball, bowling, mini golf, flag football, and more. Almost got there clean. It's close. Yeah. But spring leagues close on April 13th. So you got 1 week to get in, get scheduled, get part of a league, go out there, have some fun on the field. Do it with code DNVR10. You save $10. Volo has been doing this for years. I'm sure if you come to the bar during this time of year last year, you saw all the Volo people coming in and out from events. So they're a pretty big deal. And the coolest part is they play so the kids can play free. The Volo Kids Foundation is a organization that provides free sports camps to kids in each Volo city. So you get to play, the kids get to play, everybody wins. They have tons of leagues all over the city and the state, really. Lodo, Rhino, Uptown, even out to Aurora, Arvada, Inglewood. They got you covered. Tons of other places as well. So go check them out. Hit up Volo Sports today to get in on the athletics. And then we're brought to you by Shady Rays. If you want to look good, if you want to avoid headaches by staring into the sun, don't stare into the sun, but also wear Shady Rays. You can get a ton of different pairs, bunch of different styles. They all look dope, if you ask me. Tons of polarizations, whatever color you like, they got you covered. ShadyRays.com. When you use code DNVR and you buy 2 pairs of glasses, you get 50% off. That's essentially buy one to get one free. And the coolest part is, you lose them, they'll replace them in the first 30 days. If you break them,
you sound like a robot, so I'll repeat that for you. If you lose them, they'll replace them for you in the first 30 days. See that scroll there across the bottom. Go to ShadyRays.com. You get 50% off when you buy 2 or more pairs and use that promo code DNVR. As Rudo, I'm sure, was going to say, you can either do that or go to their store in Park Meadows. I've been in there. Cool store. Like Rudo said, they really do. They just got a lot of cool stuff. Like, just,
yep.
They're fun. Like, there's cool. You don't sound like a robot anymore.
Good. Thank you for picking that one up for me. Okay. The other conversation that I wanted to get into here, I think we can all agree it's pretty clearly Landy on the forward side. Again, didn't even really get into the conversation of, oh yeah, he's the captain and does all of those things.
I'll say this. I'll end out. I think Val has the potential to get there if he can come back next year, full health, and start the season and have kind of an uninterrupted season, I think he's got the skill set, the frame, things like that to truly become like an elite player. But right now, I think AJ put it the best. Gabe Landeskog, I think, does everything that Val and guys like Lehkonen do, which they do him great. He does them just as good, and he does a lot of other stuff on top of that. Sorry.
And then on the back end, you have Devon Toews. Another 40-plus point season for him. Arguably the most consistent guy in his own end on this hockey team. Oh, by the way, partners Cale Makar plays a ridiculous amount of minutes every single night.
Yep.
We've seen the Avs survive this season without Landy. And I think had Devon missed time, I think we would feel fairly similar to the effect that Gabe Landeskog has in the lineup. Devon very much feels like the guy that brings it all together on the defensive side for Colorado, right? Yes, he's not the captain, all that I understand, but him being in the lineup allows Colorado to do whatever they want with their defensive pairings, basically. AJ, is there a genuine case for him as the fourth best Av? Fifth best Av? Whatever.
I do think so, because when Makar is healthy and he's in the lineup, you have a top pairing. Which is just the biggest feather in the cap of an NHL team. Not just to have Cale Makar, not just to have like one guy there, but to have a pairing that consistently goes out there and just buzzsaws the opposing team every single night. And just rolls through them, dominates possession, plays in the offensive end the entire night, and just ruins you. You don't get to play in their end. You don't get to do anything to them defensively. You just don't. And with Toews, next to Makar, he's the perfect partner for Cale Makar. We've seen it. And then when Makar has gone out, Toews' level drops a little bit, where he's nowhere near as dominant. But then you go and you look at the on-ice results, and you look at, okay, well, what are his numbers? What are his numbers next to Sam Girard? They're fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
What are Sam Girard's numbers next to other players? It depends. Some of them are okay. Some of them aren't very good. Some of them are great. But you look at what are the numbers with Devon Toews. And you go down that lineup, and you go down, you look at Sam Girard, you look at Erik Johnson. Erik Johnson is about the only guy that has not been really good with Devon Toews. Like, he elevates these pairings, and he just plays every other shift. I mean, he's averaging 25 minutes a night. He's thrown up another 40-point season, which is a bit of a letdown from where he's been. In his first 2 years in Colorado, he's been on higher. He's either scored more than that or been on a higher pace in the 56-game season. Like, his goals this year are way down.
Yep.
So I don't really have much to add, because I think AJ just kind of hit the nail on the head with Toews. But it's something that I said for Gabe that I think is true for Toews as well. He just doesn't make mistakes, to the point that when Toews does make a mistake and it costs the Avs, it's like a topic of discussion on the post-game show. Like, yeah, Toews made a mistake. He made a bad read here. That was weird to see. He's just so reliable, so steady, makes a lot of really good decisions with the puck. He, again, just kind of like Gabe, where he checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that you run out in any situation and you don't worry about it, right?
Right.
And I do think a lot of the things he does just go so, not underappreciated, but maybe unnoticed is a better word at times, how effective he is. It's become pretty common knowledge of how good he is at knocking pucks out of midair, but how effective he is at getting pucks off the wall and out of the zone for Colorado, how effective he is at finding the correct guy on the breakout Sure, a lot of the time Cale Makar can do that for him, but he's also entirely capable of doing those things on his own. And it's part of what makes the Avs defense so ridiculously good is because Cale Makar, Devon Toews, doesn't matter. Both of them will just beat you.
There's a maturity that Toews brings as well. That's just kind of like you hear about that, and the Avs aren't a young team in the way that like Anaheim is a young team anymore. But the players in the Avs are, their top guys are so elite that I think we can sometimes forget. Cale's still a young guy. Nate's still a pretty, relatively young guy. Mikko's still a young guy. It's nice that you have a guy like Toews who's in the middle of his prime, maybe a little bit more, buttoned up personality wise, and he plays a big role, right? It's one thing to have guys like Jack Johnson, Eric Johnson as part of your decor to be good, strong veteran leadership. That's true. But I always think back to when Gabe Landeskog became the captain of this team, it was because Milan Hajduk went to the coaching staff and said, I'm a fourth liner. A fourth liner can't be your captain. He's not in the trenches. Like he's not, out late in games, trying to score, trying to keep a goal out of your own net. You need a guy like Toews who can be an emotional leader at the top half of that back end. And I just, as amazing as Makar is and as much stuff as Makar probably does for Toews, I can't even imagine the impact that just playing next to a guy like Devon Toews with that kind of mental maturity, not only to the way he conducts himself, but to his game, it has to have done wonders for a guy like Cale.
To build off of that, the respect for Devon Toews around the league is so high that I know for a fact, a stone cold fact, that there are defensemen on other teams who have their video coach clip Devon Toews' work and they break it down.
Yeah.
Because what he does on a regular basis is so high quality and so high end as a defenseman that other NHL defenders are like, all right, today I wake up in the NHL and I want to be more like that guy.
Yeah.
How can I be more like Devon Toews today?
It's the Filipovich reel that I think it was during playoffs last year. But you get that just like 4-minute Devon Toews. I think there's like 2 goals in it that he scores. It's mostly just dope shit he does like away from the puck. And then the clip ends with him skating away with the puck with no one within 30 feet of him. It's like, okay, cool. Sick. I guess you're just the best dude out here really quietly.
Literally, Dimitri and I just DM Devon Toews clips back and forth to each other.
Yeah, dude.
Throughout the season, as fun stuff happens, it'll be like, "Hey, look at this silly thing that he did tonight."
He's
all right.
He's so fun to watch.
We're running a little bit long here, so we can be quick about this, but also did want to mention Bowen Byram. Obviously not there yet, but I think we can all see the path to him becoming pretty important dude for this hockey team. Obviously was in the playoffs last year and things like that. It just hasn't been consistently. He hasn't had to be that guy for Colorado. So not there yet with the Bo conversation, but give it 2 years and we'll see.
I mean, dude, so this is another one that I made mention so many times about, like, you talk to other people around the league, around hockey, just whatever, and there's an insane amount of respect for the Colorado Avalanche. It really is the same thing with Bo. If you talk to folks around the league, genuinely, the sentiment is they got 2 of these guys.
Yeah, it's a lot of when that guy gets the games played to figure it all out and to really like hone the details. And he's not just like wandering around as this unrefined work of art,
just randomly doing dope stuff. Yeah.
Once the coaching staff starts to chip away and the video work and all the pieces start to come together, and that guy becomes the fully formed adult that he is to become.
Yeah,
dude, he's gonna be a really big problem. He's gonna be a really, really big problem.
And was that the three of us that were talking the other night that, I don't know, do you roll into the playoffs and go Cale, Bo, Sam, Toews, and then Manson, Picka, Johnson?
I don't know if they do it permanently, but you'll definitely see some of those mix-ups for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My guess is that they are going to continue to run Toews, Makar,
Yeah.
Byram, Girard, and then Manson, Johnson, EJ specifically.
Yeah, I'm. Yeah,
that's my guess. I don't know if that sticks, but I think that's where it starts.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a safe bet.
Okay, we do have one super chat to get to here. $5 from Miss Truly, who says, "How psyched are you to be covering the Avs in this era?" I said this the other day on Twitter, but like, it's not even fair, man. Like, if I'm having a hard day, I go, oh yeah, I get to cover Nathan MacKinnon for a living. This is dope.
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't know. Nathan MacKinnon was on that team that first year that I was a part of this, that 48-point year. That felt way less fun.
You look around, like I look at what it's been like to be an Avs fan for 30 years. And I look at what it's been like, just obviously my situation, what it's been like to be a Winnipeg Jets fan. Where, like, what jerseys do you retire? You know, like, who are your all-time greats there? How long has it been since some of those guys have been there? Where's the era? You know, they won a lottery and got Patrick Laine, and what did they do with it? Like, it's tough. And it's not just the Jets. There's 10 of these franchises out there that just, what do you do? Like, you just keep existing, and you keep trying, and you keep trying to do it right, and you just keep trying to get lucky with a great player here, a great player there, a great era where you're really competitive on a consistent basis. Like, the Avs, the Avs might win their third straight division title, and there are teams out there that are looking at 3 banners like that, going, God, it'd be nice to have 3 banners in our building.
Yep.
You know, how lucky are we to get to cover this era of the Avs? Just how lucky have the Avs have been since they moved to Denver, one of the premier organizations in the NHL. They had a decade where they were obviously in a down cycle, but the up cycles have been so high. They have 3 Stanley Cups. I mean, good Lord, they've got the NHL. They've got an NHL attendance record. They've got an NHL record for consecutive division titles. Like, how many Hall of Famers have passed through between Joe Sakic, Patrick Waugh, and Peter Forsberg? We never thought we would see an era like that. And now there are people having legitimate conversations on Twitter last night. Has Nathan MacKinnon surpassed Peter Forsberg as an all-time great Av? And you can have the conversation.
Right.
It's not even a crazy thing anymore. It used to be like, girl, come on. Don't know about this. Those guys are kind of untouchable. They're not now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this era, you look at Mikko, you look at MacKinnon, and you look at Cale Makar, maybe Bo and Byram someday, but you look at those 3 guys, and you're talking about 3 very likely Hall of Fame players.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it's really, really easy to project forward and say they probably win another Stanley Cup as a group.
Yep.
They just probably do, because it's so hard to get this caliber of talent together. It's hard to get it together. It's hard to keep. It's, so on and so forth. But, like, there's
a lot of those core pieces locked up for at least a handful of years.
Yeah, like, you're talking about, you have a real shot at making the most of this thing. You've already won the one. It honestly felt like they won it early in the cycle. Mm-hmm. Everybody in Colorado was desperate for it to happen. But we were talking about earlier, how young are some of these guys still? You're still talking about you're still 10 years away from worrying about what Cale Makar's aging curve looks like.
Funnily enough, Jesse and I were talking about this before the show, before you jumped on.
Well, and the fun part for me about what you were just mentioning there, AJ, about since the Avs moved to Denver, how just how exciting it's been at different points. And what I do like about it is the team moves here ready to compete, right? All the heavy lifting was done in Quebec. But then, like, you did have to watch the Avs go through that. And they had to start from scratch. And they had to build, now a champion from nothing. And they hit on draft picks in the first round, and that always helps. Getting Nathan MacKinnon first overall always helps.
Yeah, but they got it right.
They got it right. Your job, yeah.
But they got it right. The easy pick that year would have been Seth Jones. You needed a defenseman. He was the number one, consensus pick all year long. You made the right pick. Cale Makar falls to 4. And really, had you passed on him, I don't think many people would have batted an eye in the moment. You did your homework. You took the right guy. You get Mikko Rantanen at 10. Like, they did a lot of things, and they've built the team. It's been fun to watch the full cycle, right? For them to come in as its elite group. I mean, hit the rockiest of rock bottoms in the 48-point season, and then in-house build this all back up. It's just been it's been a blast to watch, and it's been such a fun payoff to be able to watch, on behalf of the team, because this is remarkable success. It's really fun to watch them, go through it. And I think, I talked about this with my mom last summer. It makes, when they finally do win, a little bit sweeter that, we sat through that. We watched that 80. Right, we watched that 48-point season. AJ, you and I watched all 82 of those games, and we had to talk about them.
Yeah,
and it was brutal. That wasn't a fun job. Like, people, you get to watch hockey. It's like, no, this is literally terrible. Like, this isn't fun, and you get through that stuff, and that's what makes being able to be lucky enough to spend every day around a team like this that much better. Wasn't always like this. And we got to watch the evolution of it.
Oh, and it's really, 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 really hard to get it right the way that the Avs did. It's not just like, the Avs just hit on their top picks. Like, yeah, there's 5 top 5 picks every year. Where are the other teams' Hall of Famers?
Right.
Where's all those other guys? Sasha Barkov's a great player. Where's Florida?
You look at Edmonton. They've hit on those top picks, and what have they done with it? Not gotten to where Colorado is. We do need to wrap up the show, though. We are brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery. We love them over here. Go get yourself some Breck Brew. Use the Breck Beer Locator online to find it near you. We will be back both games this weekend, so subscribe to the DNVR YouTube channel. You can find us here pregame, postgame. Watch along if the Nuggets aren't playing. We appreciate all y'all hanging out for this conversation. Maybe we'll make a poll on Twitter, and you guys can vote on who you think should fill those spots. We'll talk to you on the next one, I guess.